But speaking of managers and changing, rumour is Pep Guardiola might be off to Juventus.
Yeah.
That was the story that broke today. It was the same reporter that said that Ronaldo would be joining Juventus as well. It was him that broke the story. Do you think there's any truth to this element? Do you see Pep Guardiola just washing his hands clean of City?
Well, I think if you look at Pep Guardiola at Man City at the moment, it appears to be the perfect fit. I think because of all the rumours with regards to Manchester City and financial fair play, and are they going to get banned from playing European football, thrown out of the Champions League, transfer embargoes on them. If Manchester City do get really heavily penalised, and it's going to impact negatively on what Guardiola believes he can do with the club, and I think that would impact hugely on the club, I think there is a chance that he might look to go elsewhere, because he is about, yes, we've talked about him developing players, but he's also a serial collector of trophies, isn't he? You know, he wants to win trophies. And if he's limited at Manchester City because of penalties that are possibly pending, then, I think there's a chance he might.
Well, there's 4 bodies investigating him right now. Well, not him, sorry. I should say the club. The club are being investigated. Do you think Pep would pack up? I mean, it seemed perfectly made up for him, who they brought on board, like Tixi, etc., people that he knows to make him comfortable. It looks like a long-term Guardiola project. So do you expect him to head off?
I think he's right. You know, it depends on the penalties. What I mean is, if something is, these penalties are bringing a problem for him to try to keep going with his project, maybe he might make a move. But right now, I don't see any reason why Guardiola would leave, Man City, unless something like this is happening, from UEFA for sure. Because I think he really fits in England. He really fits in Man City right now. He's comfortable. He has the players that he wants to do what he likes the most. And in the end, he's got the challenge to try to win the Champions League with Man City. That's the real challenge, first of all for the owners, for Man City owners. And I think they have the perfect manager to try to do it. So I don't see any reason why he would leave Man City for Juventus. Even the Italian league is not the best one for him, for his style of football.
Well, Juventus are on
It would be a big challenge, another big challenge for sure, but bigger than the one in Premier League, because Premier League is more open games. So in the end, you can create, you have spaces to play. But if he goes there, he will find himself in games 90 minutes, like the one we watched today in the first half. He was complaining about no spaces, a line of 6 and 4. In Italy, it will be a line of 9 and 1 against Juventus if Guardiola is in there. So I think it's not the perfect league and the league that he can enjoy the most. I think he's enjoying a lot England.
But wouldn't it be a great challenge for him that I'm sure he would quite
I do agree. It's a big challenge again. So the first challenge was going to England. But I think the great challenge right now he's got ahead of him is trying to win the Champions League with Man City. He couldn't do it with Bayern Munich, and he was penalised by Bayern Munich owners. And right now, I think he's got the right owners to try to win it. They back him a lot. No problem, and he's comfortable. The players back him. I think right now everything you see at Man City looks smooth. Looks really, really good.
Well, you say it's a challenge, but they're on course, Juventus, to win their 8th title in a row. They've got to a few knockout stage. Well, they've obviously progressed very far in the Champions League, all the way to the final. Ultimately, they couldn't quite get past that final step. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, he called out Cristiano Ronaldo because Ronaldo said it was a challenge for him to go play in Italy with Juventus. Zlatan Ibrahimovic comes out to say, no, it's not a challenge. It's not a challenge to join a team that's most likely going to win the league. Yeah. A real challenge would be going to a team that isn't likely to win the league and then winning it. Is it that much of a challenge?
Well,
domestically at least?
The challenge for Juventus is winning the Champions League. They lost the last 7 finals, I think, back to back. So the real challenge, of course, for a team like PSG, for a team like Juventus in Italy, is trying to win the Champions League because, they are just, in the domestic leagues, everything is so easy for them. But Bayern Munich, they live the same situation.
But at least when he came in to Bayern, Dortmund had won 2 titles recently. Juventus are about to win, most likely, their 8th in a row.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, and the same with PSG. I think it's the same situation, PSG and Juventus, because but I think new investors are coming to Milan as well. New investors are coming to it, Inter. So I see the football in Italy growing up and getting a little bit more even. I think Milan, I don't know if it's going to be this next year or in 2 years, but if new investors are coming from the other world, of course there will be money to try to level, the gap. And Maldini's in there.
Yes.
Level the gap and being, closer to Juventus and make the Scudetto a little bit more, attractive, for all the fans, and competitive and attractive as well for the fans. So for me, it's a challenge. It doesn't matter what. The challenge for Ronaldo is not going to a team like Juventus and winning the league for sure. I know Cristiano Ronaldo. I know his mentality is so competitive. But the challenge for him is looking ahead of the rest. He won the Premier League with Man United. He won the Champions League with Man United. He won the Champions League with Real Madrid, and he won the league with Real Madrid. And he wants to win the league in Juventus and the Champions League in Juventus. If he can do that, he's going to be the only player in the history to win the 3 more important leagues in Europe and the Champions League with the 3 teams in different countries. So you have to look a little more than just saying that going to Juventus is not a challenge because you are going to win a league. I think Cristiano Ronaldo is thinking in a different way.
Yeah, well, they're on the cusp of being knocked out next week. That's the thing.
He can make history.
Yeah.
He can make history. And obviously, the way to make history for him right now in Italy, the only chance is Juventus. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and I think Pep Guardiola has not only changed Manchester City, but he's changed the football in the Premier League. More and more clubs are playing his style of football. And you just wonder whether he believes that he could go to Italy eventually. And I don't think he's going to be leaving Manchester City in the near future. And the only way he might is if some of those issues do raise their head. But, he goes to Italy and he changes the style of football that's played in Italy, or the way that teams play in order to win the league.
Let's not forget when he was in
That's
Spain.
going to be a big challenge.
Yeah, of course.
There
you go.
When he was in Spain, Spain won the World Cup. When he was in Germany, Germany won the World Cup. When he was in England, well, they didn't win the World Cup, but
Hopefully
they got their first.
Hopefully he doesn't go to Italy.
You never
so
know.
Italy doesn't win the World Cup.
Well, if you're Spanish, I'm sure you're thinking that.
That's
The
right.
English will be thinking otherwise.
I hope he comes back to Spain.
Quite possible. You never know what the future will hold.